Welcome back. Deputy Commission for Upstream Industry and Petrochemical of Indonesian Chamber of Commerce Ahmad Wijaya assessed that Indonesia does not need to worry about palm oil discrimination by the European Union. It is because Indonesian palm oil production can be diverted to the domestic market for biofuel needs as government program to reduce oil imports. Indonesian Chamber of Commerce of Palm Oil Discrimination, a statement of Indonesian objection to palm oil discrimination by the European Union, was assessed by the Deputy Commission for Upstream Industry and Petrochemical of Indonesian Chamber of Commerce Ahmad Wijaya. He said it is not necessary for Indonesia to do so. Ahmad said Indonesia should not worry about palm oil discrimination by the EU or other parties. Instead, Indonesia has to focus on the domestic market or even look for another markets. Indonesian palm oil production, despite being opposed by Europe, can be shifted to domestic needs, which is quite high. Especially with the biodiesel program, domestic needs can be covered from products that cannot enter Europe so that the trade balance deficit can be suppressed.
Kita sebetulnya tidak memperdulikan bahwa itu Eropa ataupun Amerika melihat kondisi sawit kita. Kondisi kita pakai sendiri aja udah lebih daripada market yang ada. Kenapa kita selalu terintimidasi dengan Amerika? Padahal Amerika kan punya sunflower yang memang menjadi musuhnya kita. Dan di Eropa memang go green kan semua juga menjadi patokan utama. Kemudian sawit kita juga bisa diterima. Yang paling penting adalah pengembangan B10, B20, 30 sampai 100, apalagi mempunyai keyakinan di dalam energi menjadi B100, artinya posisi industri akan jauh lebih baik dong. Di dalam hal nggak usah terintimidasi dengan adanya.
Game on. Indonesia has filed a lawsuit at the World Trade Organization against the European Union, claiming the bloc's restrictions on palm oil-based biofuel are unfair. Not only that, the Indonesian government has complained of the exemption of crude palm oil from being used as raw materials for biofuel by the EU, saying it will cause a negative impact on the Indonesian export market. Moreover, if we go back to the late November, the European Union also launched a complaint at the WTO over Indonesian curbs on nickel ore exports and hit Indonesian biodiesel with tariffs last week. Seems like Indonesia and EU trade relation is dire straits. Overall, we can say that palm oil has become a source of one of the biggest political arguments between the EU and Indonesia. But what is actually the urgency? What is actually the crux of the matter? Therefore, firstly, I would like to elaborate it to you the reason behind why EU wants to ban Indonesian CPO. The first one is EU holds Renewable Energy Directive or RED II. EU claims CPO carbon emissions 3 times greater than fossil energy, and palm oil industry is surrounded by many social problems. An EU court of auditors accused palm oil plantation does not have indirect land use change. In short, there are so many reasons from the sake of environment to social problems. The European Commission concluded that palm oil cultivation results in excessive deforestation and should not count towards renewable energy targets. The result is that the palm oil-based diesel will not be considered a biofuel, and its use in transport fuel would effectively be phased out between 2023 to 2030. For the sake of environment, the Commission said that the Renewable Energy Directive 2 was part of the EU's green policies. The measures were in line with WTO obligations. Indonesia's Director General of Foreign Trade, Indra Sariwisnuwardana, said that the EU's policy would not just impact Indonesia's palm oil export to Europe, but would also tarnish the image of palm oil products globally. In this case, Indonesia has big burden as Indonesia is the world's largest producer of palm oil. Well, being labeled as world's largest producer of palm oil, how much actually palm oil that actually Indonesia has produced? Let's check it through the next graphic. The total production of Indonesia's palm oil reached 48.68 million people divided to million tons. Divided to two products: crude palm oil as much as 40.57 million tons, and palm kernel oils 8.1 million tons. This one is taken from the Directorate General of Plantation, Ministry of Agriculture, year 2018's data. Palm oil has become a commodity that is so widely consumed that people can find it in everything from moisturizer to loaves of bread to car diesel. To environmentalists, palm oil is a crux of the matter that cause profit-seeking corporations to burn forest land for planting, thereby polluting the atmosphere with greenhouse gases. Unsustainable livelihood, socio-economic inequality, and environmental issues remain major challenges in the oil palm industry that EU wants to avoid. But to Indonesian farmers, the commodity is a lifeline to support their families and less polluting than some of the alternatives. Plantation and palm oil industry in Indonesia are considered to contribute in reducing poverty rate, which also becomes the concern of United Nations. The fact that is the total area of Indonesian palm oil plantations is secondly dominated by community, means land that belongs to community is bigger than state-owned ones. To get the comparison, we can see it through the next graphic. This is the total area of Indonesian oil palm plantation. 5% belongs to the state, 41% belongs to the community, and 54% belong to the private companies. And the owners of small-scale plantation reach 41% of landowners with land area of 5.8 million hectares. Direct workers absorbed in palm oil plantation reaches 5.5 million people, and indirect workers reach 12 million people. Therefore, Indonesian government has an interest in guarding plantation and palm oil industry to overcome the poverty rates in accordance to Sustainable Development Goals of United Nations in 2030. This is a bit contradictory to what EU aims, right? EU firstly stated environmental concerns were a strong reason for the ban, referring to violent SDG point about environment. But on the other hand, that the development of sustainable palm oil plantation and industry as a solution, because palm oil industry supports SDGs, such as the effort to overcome poverty rate and build communities and rural areas. And if we take a look on the production small-scale plantations of community contribute big number as well. Let's take it through the next graphic. This is Indonesian palm oil production for the private ones. Reach 25.14 million tons, community 14.01 million tons, and state reaching 2.5 million tons. This one is taken from Palm Oil Analytics, year 2018. And as we see, small-scale plantations by farmers contribute a lot. Therefore, problem is the negative impacts the EU ban would have on oil palm producers, particularly farmers. Enactment of the delegated act will negatively impact the agenda of the United Nations regarding its sustainable development goals, especially in connection with poverty eradication, which is expected to be accomplished by 2030. Indonesia is one of the countries that consistently support the ideals of the SDGs, especially on the poverty issue. As Indonesia is a developing country, in Indonesia, the palm oil industry is one of the biggest sectors that helping the government eradicate poverty. According to GAPKI, during 2018, palm oil production in Indonesia reached 47.44 million metric tons and involved more than 15 million oil palm farmers. Increased palm oil production has significantly reduced poverty in rural or remote areas, given that the industry is active in 25 of the 34 provinces of Indonesia. Indonesia's oil palm plantation and processing industry is a key industry to the country's economy, as the export of palm oil is an important foreign exchange earner, while the industry provides employment opportunities to millions of Indonesians. To get clearer view, let's check it to the next graphic about palm oil's contribution to foreign exchange reserves. In 2016, it contributed as much as 250 trillion rupiah. In 2017, 320 trillion rupiah. But in 2018, the number was decreased to only 270 trillion rupiah. The previous statistics shows that palm oil's contribution to foreign exchange reserves decreased in 2018. However, the palm oil industry currently occupies the largest position as a contributor to foreign exchange for the non-oil and gas sector. Because of that, the palm oil industry needs to get full support from the government so that foreign exchange earnings from exports can increase again. And in many ways, the escalation is not a surprise. Therefore, what is needed is an intensive dialogue on how to cooperate on finding ways to save our planet, such as through a green palm oil industry without ruining the international relationships. And stay tuned on Market Headlines because we'll be right back after the break.